When Aerith reached out to me, I found this knowledge of the Whispers.
Listen to me. Please.
Aerith! Don't deny me. I'm waiting, Cloud.
This is the point of no return. Destiny's Crossroads.
That was the kind of bit of the ending of the F7 Remake. Of course, there'll be a lot of spoilers in the video. I'm gonna spoil the general ending of F7 Remake, but also, of course, the original game. So, if you haven't played out the game, you know, so spoilers, warning, being said, okay, let's talk about it. So, I just beat the game, I replayed it once again, and, you know, game storyline is good. I like the statics, as I mentioned on the video, I really like the Aerith and Cloud moments primarily. And the general storyline follows the original game, but it's fleshing out like Barrett and his daughter, Marlene more. It is more of Aerith's mother, right? It is more of, especially Jesse has a lot more scenes. Yes, the bitch and weeks and so on, right? So in the game, generally, it just fleshes out the original storyline. But, however, in the last about 4 or 5 hours, especially in the last hour or two, then the game is like, I'm gonna jump this like ghost shark or something and go bananas with time travel and destiny and alternative routes and here's Zack alive and so in the end, the game really is like, well, no, we're not playing the same game again, yeah. And I won't talk too much about here, if it's a sequel, if it's a remake or so on. So people are calling it a sequel, right? Because they're like, oh, this is not the same game, and so on, right? But my general point here, because the title is that I am sure that Aerith, you know, classic Aerith, is gonna be alive when the game ends. That is my biggest thing. And we'll talk about it here, right? So, why? Well, first of all, Aerith herself keeps talking about destiny and, you know, time travel and so on. Basically, you know, she's like, oh, we have alternative Marvel universe, so on, basically. And especially in the end, she's like, destiny, crossroad. And then when you get into this next scene, where you're fighting the Harbinger, you fight the Whisper and so on, you will see, for example, Red running with his children, I think it is at least, or I think it's supposed to be that. It's a quick scene with Red. That scene is from the original game, and you beat the original game, right? So it's basically seeing Red in the future. You like see Red's, you know, again, his children and kind of destiny, yeah. So you're seeing that time travel, right, so to speak. You're seeing this would happen. Oh, Cloud remembering this, how you see Zack and so on. So you kind of see stuff that has happened or will happen. What I mean, of course, is that Aerith, or anyone for that matter, could be saved, right, from being dead, because you can alter the time frame, you can change reality and so on. So already there is a lot of people like, man, she sounds like they're gonna change some stuff going on here. But my guess then, my general theory then, to talk about it quicker then, is that I believe that Aerith will die in part 2. But, of course, the big but, right? Yeah. I think she will die in part 2. It'll be a big scene, it'll be dramatic, right? It'll be like a long cut scene, killing her, you know, Sephiroth might be the end of part 2 for that matter, right? And then in part 3, I think especially when you get to the end of the crater and so on, it's going to be a lot of hallucinations, it's going to be time travel, you see different scenes, different attacks and so on. And then, of course, at that point there, you'll be able to resurrect her, right? Or, you know, re-change the past as well, right? So, I think, again, that what's going to happen then is she will die, right? In the next part. But then in the part 3, you will be able to then fix that issue. So, it will be an actual real death, right? And I think they will do that because then they're going to be able to try to give people the classic death scene, the most iconic death scene arguably in gaming history. I would say this probably. And that then will be animated, you know, modern technology. People will be happy to see that scene, or sad I guess, but yeah, would be happy to see the scene still there. But they're gonna reverse the actual effect of it. That would be my guess, straight up from what's happening here. And I think actually I feel quite confident in this theory that will happen for several reasons. But I would say some other points. Other people have mentioned that they think all the characters will die. I don't think so at all. I think maybe Tifa's will die and so on. And I will explain why here, because Sephiroth and Aerith, right, and this game remake here even more focusing on them being in different opposite corners, right. He wants to destroy the planet, she wants to save the planet, and so on, right. Of course, Barrett wants to do and so on, but of course, Aerith is the last ancient, right? This is the last Kefta, she's the last of that people, and her and Sephiroth have always been in opposite night and day, right? Of course, Tifa hates Sephiroth, Cloud hates and so on. They all hate him, right? But it's a different thing between them just, I want to be the evil, versus I am the last of my race, and here's this alien guy, like half alien kind of guy, Yenova stands and so on. He wants to destroy my planet, Yenova, and yada yada. There's a very big difference. They're kind of the biblical opposite of each other, right? Aerith and Sephiroth. And then when he kills her in the original game, it's a big moment because, of course, you're playing the whole game. She is really, the main force of we have to stop Sephiroth, right? Because of these reasons. As again in the remake, it's even more focused on that Aerith is I have to stop Sephiroth. It's my destiny, kind of. Yeah, it's even more on it in this game. We have to do the right thing and so on. So of course she has to be the one to die, right? It can't be another character. Doesn't make any sense from like the narrational standpoint of him being in her most opposite way, right? He wants this like dark materia. He wants to kill her meteor, so on, right? And then the forbidden, kind of the lost civilization, so on, right? All that good stuff, right? So again, I cannot see them killing any other characters that aren't in the classic scene there. But I will say that it's an interesting idea because if you have the alternative timeline, so maybe Cloud will like take the blow. I think that would be the most likely scenario, that actually would be Cloud instead. Like, maybe, alternate timeline, Cloud jump in, he will die instead, you play Aerith, and then you can save Cloud instead. I mean, it could happen, I guess, but I think it's a very, very low chance. He has to be aiming at Aerith at least. Maybe someone else could jump in the way, but I think she actually will die. Almost probably exactly the same scene, in my opinion. I think it would be basically the exact same scene. He's gonna pray, he's gonna jump in. It's gonna be more or less the exact same scene, but it would be remade in the next part. Then. So in part 3 then, I want to say this thing. I think this would be the best solution for doing the last part. And if you play, a bunch of different role-playing games, right, visual novel, the epic game and so on, they have different endings, right? They have like the true ending, the bad ending and so on. And I think that they will take the chance here, this is my guess, but I think it's going to be true, honestly. I hope it's true, that in the last part then, we're going to actually have several different endings. So the first thing I really want to say, that I would be mostly okay with Aerith being alive, is if it's actually hard to accomplish. Not because the game is like a hard battles, but like, you have to do everything exactly perfectly. You have to do this extra side mission, this stuff, and this stuff. And if you don't do everything in the game, or not everything, but at least most of the stuff with the storyline, and some extra stuff and so on, yada yada, then you can't unlock the true ending, right, with Aerith being alive again, and maybe Zack alive and so on. I think that is one requirement that I think will make people happier. It's like, well, okay, there are alternate timelines, but you will still get the original ending, basically, if you just play the game. If you just play the game on normal, whatever, right, you just beat the game in part 3, you will just get the, oh, she's dead, and, we saved the planet. That would be my guess. So there's going to be more than one ending, and again, then, of course, the true epic ending is she's alive again, potentially also more characters, right, because then you have fixed the timeline and so on, you fix Destiny Crossroad and so on, right, where in the other timeline you might that thing, and maybe even have some more alternative endings. Maybe it's like a good ending and a true good ending and like a bad ending and a normal ending. So maybe it's like 4 endings and so on. I think that would be making a lot of sense because again, they talk a lot about it in the first remake here, part 1, about again Destiny Crossroad, right, alternative timelines and so on, right, alternative endings. And I think of course here in the part 1 they could really do that as well because like as I said, but yeah, it's over, yeah. But in the last part it will make a lot of sense and hopefully make most people satisfied. So you both get like the bad ending, also the original ending, which is dead, right? When you get the other ending, which is alive, so people could say, well, that's clearly the actual canon ending. So people can argue about that. So I think they will try to go for that, honestly. And it would surprise me from like a development standpoint that to get the true last ending of the part 3, you have to also have beaten the other 2 games and carried over your save file and so on. So it's gonna be like that. So to get the true ending. The true ending, you probably have to, buy all the parts, play them, true perfectly, basically, as well, and then get carried over. That would be interesting. But I wouldn't surprise me because then you get people to buy all parts to be able to unlock the true ending, right? from a business standpoint, it makes sense, right? To force you to carry over your data. And if you don't carry over your data to the last part, you just buy the last part, you can't get the true ending. Like, come on, you know what's gonna happen, right? So that's kind of it for that stuff. Generally, though, what I feel about the storyline, personally, I didn't mind it too much, to be honest. The game follows the storyline generally, you know, fleshing it out as I mentioned, and then in the end it's kind of crazy. And I kind of liked the added Sephiroth as the last boss there. If you play the original game, you just end there. However, that being said, though, I will argue for this thing. Ending at Midgar is like it's like a classic, iconic ending there. That part of the first game, but I can also see them removing all the whispers, removing all the crazy ghost fighting stuff, and instead just have like, you know, a few more hours in the next part as open world you can discover and so on. That could have been another way to do it. So it's pretty clear that they really wanted to end Midgar, and they really wanted to be like, this is gonna be the new storyline. So is it the sequel? Is the remake then? I don't think it's fair to call it a sequel. I think we could call it like an alternative game, or like a very hardcore remake there, because a sequel for me, because it would be FF7 2, right? It would be continuing after the last game ended. Unless, and I can see this happening, I guess I can see it happening, that it would be like, well, actually, this is like you're stuck in a time loop, so you're actually already beaten the game. And then it actually is a sequel, right? So you're actually playing FF7 2, but you're replaying the first version that you played the last time 10 years ago, and you're stuck in the time loop, and you have to escape the time loop by like saving Aerith. That could be a thing, and then actually would be really be a sequel, but it's more like a really remake, right? In the sense of that storyline with new ending part and so on. But anyway, that's my theory. I feel very confident that Aerith is gonna be alive. Like seriously, again, she will die in part 2, exact same seed, and then part 3 she will be alive. And yes, I do agree on people. I know people say this comments here. People are gonna agree and say that will ruin the substance of the game because she is so important. Her death is so important. I agree with that. It's gonna be kind of funky and weird if, from like this philosophical standpoint, the biggest point of the game that she's one like, that's the one reversing that. But I don't see why they wouldn't do that, because there's a lot of stuff in the game that's kind of pointing to that. And you see from developers, they kind of like, oh yeah, we don't really care about this stuff. This is our version of the game and so on. Yeah, so I'm telling you guys, it's gonna happen. And again, as I mentioned, I think it's gonna be best if they have more than one ending, and it's gonna be really hard to revive her. I think that would be, that would be the best case scenario in my opinion. It would be a worst case scenario if you, of course, you just play the part 3 and you beat the part 3 and so yeah, and she's back. That would be a worse scenario. If you have to really fight for it and have different endings, that would, I think, make it more rewarding and more okay, right, so to speak. So I think that's gonna be a thing. Anyway, what do you guys think? Leave a comment below. Again, I feel pretty confident. Hopefully I'm gonna be right now. We're gonna see it in a few years from now, but I feel this seems very likely, like very likely. If you play the remake now, very likely, given all what is said the last few hours there, and you're seeing like the time lapse and all the stuff, and seeing Zack and so on, feels incredibly likely this is the route they're going with. So anyway, see you guys and have a great day.